Hi everybody, it's Kurt Johansen here from Email Profits, and welcome back to the second video in the series How to Create Emails That Sell. These are 7 tried and proven tips that will set your email campaigns on fire. They've worked for me and many others, as I explained in the video 1, and there's no reason why they can't work for you as well. But let's just do a little bit of a recap on video 1 first. And what we spoke about there is email marketing is an art, it's not an act. It's not a matter of just sending out an email, it's about crafting the email in a described and prescribed way to get maximum benefit and to force clients to act for you. Now that's not being forced anything untoward, you're just going to offer them products and services that you know that they particularly need. So we really do sort of use a formula, and this is what I'm taking you through. This video is going to be at my marketing tips 4 to 7, but first let's take us through the first 3 tips. Now tip 1 was about using a name and an email address which is recognizable, and what I mean by that was, try to stay away from the Yahoo, Hotmail, Gmail type generic email addresses when you send out marketing emails. They're good to receive things, but they're not great for people to receive. Try to get your domain name email address. Tip 2 spoke about using their first name and a curiosity subject line to force them or entice them to double click and open the email. And tip 3, we went through creating an email headline, and it's very important to have that at the top of the email these days, especially for those people who open and read their emails on their phones. Okay, let's get into tip number 4, and tip number 4 I call email content. What I'm going to take you through is you really do need to crawl first, and away you go, so you understand this, and then you'll get to the stage that you'll be able to walk. And stay with me on all these tips that we'll keep bringing you, and we'll soon even get you running. One of the common phrases used in emails is that email content is king. My question here really for you is it? Because I've found that it's not so much the content, but it's also the process and the system that you use to construct your email, and that to me is more king than the content. What I mean by that, quite simply, is that when you send out an email, write it in the first person. So the email should be constructed and written so the person thinks it's only their email. Now, look, subconsciously they may know it's going out to thousands and thousands or hundreds of people, but the reality is when they read it, they know that you've put it together for them and it just makes sense. So you're right in what we call the first person. The other sort of major tip here in this section under email content is that one email equals one message. So don't go confusing people with 3, 4, 5 different products or services that you have in your emails. If you're going to send out an email, it's one email equals one message. Now, I see coming from the States, they do what I call email brochures these days, and they have over 21 different products on those. That's a different type of format to what I'm talking about here, and we'll explain that one later. But if you're going to write an email to somebody about a product or a service, don't go telling them about something and then said, oh, by the way, here's something else, and by the way, here's something else. That's just going to confuse the consumer. So one email equals one message, and I can't stress that highly enough. Okay, the other thing that I want to take you through in this email content is I often get asked, do I write long copy or do I write short copy? Now, one of the things about long copy is that people will read it if it is of interest to them, and there's certainly ways to do this. It can never be too long. In this game we talk about it can only be too boring. I'm going to show you an example of long copy. This is from my good friend Pete Godfrey. Pete is one of Australia's leading copywriters, and Pete likes to write long copy. This email itself, side by side, is on the right hand page. That would really be under the left hand side page, if that makes sense. And what Peter has done here is plenty of white space, no more than 3 or 4 lines to a paragraph, which is really good. He asks questions, and the good thing for me as well is that I can see some blue links in there, and that really helps brighten up the email to an extent as well. One of the things about long copy is, let's see what Peter's done here. He's created 256 words and used 3 links, and it's not the number of words so much to me. The 3 links are pretty important, and we know that the 3 to 5 links work really well. 3 is a really good number to have in email marketing. So that's Pete's example of long copy. Let me show you an example of a short copy one. This is from Prana Marketing, which is Joe Polish's company, and this one actually reads that Joe's hanging out on Necker Island with some celebrities. Well, short, there's only one hyperlink in there where you can see that eye grabbing, and they're going right across the page. What we've found these days is that the emails do work better if you've only got 6-7 words, maybe 8 across the page, 60 characters so to say, and bring them down so you don't get the person to scroll across the page. People would rather scroll down the page. But this works pretty well. It's good copy in there, just short copy, and there's only 54 words and 1 link. So that's something that the Prana marketing team just wanted to send out. Both work extremely well. Test with your list to see what works best for you, because at the end of the day you're trying to achieve something, so that's the way you would be testing. Did they click on that eye-grabbing link that's there? One of the things that you need to do, though, is learn some copywriting, get some copywriting skills. There's certainly places you can go and do that, and what we call it's emotional direct response advertising. It's very important that you have a bit of a background in that, or you get help, and we're certainly going to help you with that in some future videos. Okay, the other thing about email content to understand is that all your emails will go through what are called spam filters, and they'll go through under the microscope. And spam filters are just mathematical algorithms that have been created to look at words and to put a value or a rating for them. What I've discovered over 3 years of doing email marketing is that some of these words are being captured by spam filters, but you can disguise the words. And here's a way that I particularly do it, is that I don't do this enormously throughout the text, but I'll certainly look at a word that I want to leave in there, and then I can modify the word. And there's some different examples coming up here on how you can modify a word. You can eliminate the word, you can substitute the word, but what I've discovered is that these work pretty fine. It fools the spam filters. Now, I've read all the reports and people saying you shouldn't do this, but I can assure you I've been email marketing for over 3 years, and I have not found any adverse effect for having a few words throughout my copy with these in. And in actual fact, the eye will just look over it as a person reads. So don't be too perturbed about putting some sort of little symbol like that in there. I have found, my experience is that it's not affecting my rates as well at all. And how do I know that? Because I test, and you should test as well, and keep the statistical records to see actually what is occurring. Okay, let's now move into tip number 5, and what tip 5 does is going to tell us how to send your email. And what I mean by this about just don't take potluck. You really need to understand what it is about how you send it out, and as your list grows, it'll become more of a global list that you'll have, and you'll be reaching throughout the world. So you need to have a program that's able to do that. One of the things that I suggest to people is don't send out to everybody on your list. I just don't think that works for most emails. It can for certain emails or certain content, but try to segment your lists. Break it down. I don't think it's a wise decision to send everybody everything on your list. Let me give you an example of that. So here's a bit of a table here. I'm a big fan for all my clients to have main lists, and then underneath they could have a breakup. So this is like a fish and chip shop owner. They could have people who just like fish, and under that fish you could have garfish lovers or whiting lovers, and there could be people who come into the fish and chip shop who just like the hamburgers that a fish and chip shop are renowned for, and therefore under that there might even be some vegetarian burgers as well as some beef burgers, etc., or chicken burgers. It doesn't particularly matter. The whole idea here is that if you get a good seasonal catch of garfish in, or that you can buy, is that you can send out a message to those people who love garfish and make them a special offer. One of the things being looked at the moment is that if you segment your list too much, then maybe you'll stop the spontaneous buyers, and that's a valid point. However, my example here will show you that maybe the hamburger lovers on your list wouldn't be interested in fish at all. So you can make your mind up how you segment your list, but I'm a big fan of having many lists and then choosing which list you want to send an email to. And how do you send it out? Well, there are different programs, but you need to get yourself a professional email sending platform. And I can't stress this enough. Don't use your Outlook. Don't use Outlook Express. Don't use equivalent of Mac type programs. Go and get yourself a professional program. Now you can use Aweber. You can use iContact. You can use GetResponse. There's also Infusionsoft. Now all of these work extremely well, and you may wish to be a member of those, and they come at various prices. Look, I've been through the different programs here. I've looked at them. I'm an affiliate for all of them. But the one that I find that works best for myself and my clients to achieve what we're after, and it's certainly an international one, is one called Smart Email. And there's a URL at the bottom. The reason I like this is that the servers are fast. They send the emails out on every 5 minutes, so you're not on any international queue. The backup and technical side of it is sensational. I just know the program so well, and I do offer some training with that. So that's the one. If you seriously want to get into email marketing, I would recommend, and use that tip below. And if you do that, or that link below, what will occur is that I'll be able to give you some training on that individually for you as well, or we might even do it as a group, because that works well as well. So get yourself a program. Now, once you've got yourself a sending platform program, once you do that, how are you going to send out your emails? Look, there are two ways. You can send it HTML or text. One has images, one has words. I'm a huge fan of sending out in both. The reason being is that I have tested, and 99% of people who open my emails for the last 3 years all open in HTML. And again, I've read the reports, I've read the stories coming from America saying just send in text. I don't know why. I really don't, because, well, I understand why. They're trying to avoid the spam filters and get you to click on a website or go to a video. But the reality is all of my people open in HTML, so it enables me to put the images onto or inside an email, and I explained that in the first first video. In there I was talking about some images. So I'm a fan of HTML sending. I'm also a fan of text. So I send in both, and I'll let the person decide what they're going to do, how they're going to read it, and I think that's important. Okay, this now moves us on to tip number 6, and this is what I call call to action and PSs. Now, when we talk about call to actions, it's about hyperlinks. We want people to do something. So the easiest way here is to add some hyperlinks in your email content, and you can put in just click here, you can put a button in there, or you can use a phrase like, go to my website. What I've discovered in my research is that click here works not bad, but questionable. I find that if you can put a button in there, people tend to click on that. The submit a recipe one was one I used a couple of years ago when we were looking for recipes for our little dog character book, and that worked extremely well. And I also like to hyperlink phrases these days. We tend to stay away from the full long tail list of the hyperlink. That doesn't look very attractive in an email, so that's the way that we particularly do it. When we talk about PSs, look, stats have shown over years and years, 50 years that PSs are widely read in a letter. In the old days, they're certainly widely read in email, and actually some people scroll all the way through to the bottom just to read the PSs. I like to try to use 2 or 3 PSs, and I like to put in a special offer and see how that works as well. So I'll give you an example of that. Here I've got PS, email marketing is dying. PPS, in fact, is more relevant in today's marketplace than ever before. This link will take you to a quick overview of the technology. And then PPPS, it's easy to use and comes with my personal training. And yes, I do guarantee my services. Contact me now to find out how. Now, in this particular PS, it might look a little bit long-winded, but the only place I put a link in this email I sent out was in the PPS. That's the only place it occurred. And I was testing out people reading the email, and I was testing, or it doesn't really matter if people want to scroll right down to the bottom. And that link got clicked many times, and it just proved to me that the link in a PS is a valuable place to put it. It can be in a previous content. If we go back and remember Pete Godfrey's, he put 3 links in his email. That works extremely well, but I'd always recommend plus putting a link in your PSs as well. So what I'd like to take you through right now, it's the final tip, which is tip 7, and we're going to talk about when to send emails. I like to talk about emails being you being consistent and persistent. You need to keep going and keep informing your crowd what's actually happening. There'll be an offer in there at a stage that they will like, especially if you've segmented it correctly. So I know this isn't a word I'm coming out, but consistency and persistency are things that I preach all the time. Don't give up. Keep going. I like to program emails over 2, 3, 5 different emails for a series of emails, and I call that a campaign. And I also like to send to my list at least once a week, sometimes twice a list, offering them maybe a different type of product or service, but generally I'm just giving information about how they can do things a lot better, and I'm here if they need. What you need to do, though, is record your results. You have to look at your open rates, your read rates, your click-through rates, because they all count. I like to record results, and I talk about if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. So whatever you do send out, make sure you record those results. And what I'll do in a later video or another video, I'll help you with which ones you should be looking at. Okay, so they're my 7 tips. Let's recap them for you. Tip 1 spoke about username and an email address which is recognizable. Tip 2, we talked about personalize and use a curiosity subject line. Tip 3, we mentioned about create an email headline, and that's really important these days with the mobile phone reading of emails. Tip 4 was about the email content, long and short, etc. emails. What are you going to put in there? Tip 5 was how to send your email. Make sure you've got a professional email sending platform. And tip 6 went to call to actions and PSs. Tip 7 was try to get a time when you send your emails. Now, I do receive many emails in my inbox, which I welcome, and there's a particular newsletter that I know just calls or pops up around about 10 a.m. every Friday, and I think that's terrific. I just know it's going to be there, so I like to have a quick look what's in it. So they're the 7 tips, and if you use these 7 tips consistently and persistently, what you're going to find is that you will create email campaigns that sell, and you will drive dollars into your inbox. Email marketing is the quickest, the easiest, the most affordable way to market for a business, and I really encourage you to do so. Now, for going through this video, I thank you very much for that, and what I'd like to do is offer you a bonus. I do have an MP3 audio. It's called 7 Killer Email Marketing Tips. Look, I've added it at $97. You can download it and listen to it over and over again. What is the value of that? I think it's certainly worth more than that. You can also send me your most pressing email marketing question. Just send it to my address at kurt@johanseninternational.com.au. And look, I put a value on that, $147, but the reality is it could be worth $147, $247, $997. It could be worth $10,000. I've made people tens of thousands of dollars with email campaigns. So, what is the value of that pressing question? It might be the one that you particularly need. You yourself might be able to bring in over $10,000 worth of information by just asking that question. So please do so, and I'll give myself freely with that, and I do guarantee that I will answer you personally. I won't give it to one of the staff members or one of my colleagues. Send me your email question and I will answer you personally. So there's your total free bonuses, and again, what I'd like to thoroughly recommend or highly recommend is the Smart Email System, and there's a URL. If you want to write that down, go to that. You'll see a quick video of me explaining the system or offering you a bit of a consult there, and then below that there's another video. It goes for about 10, 11, 12 minutes, and it explains it a little bit better. It certainly is a most comprehensive international fast service, and that's really what we want in this game. So there you go. This is Kurt Johansen from Email Profits. This is video 2 in the series. I really am glad that you've gone this far, and there's going to be a lot more videos coming your way, and I hope to catch you real soon. Okay, bye.